All right, welcome back, everybody. This is the second session today. Go from 10:15 to 11:15. We have Susan Pulaski and Nicole Flickema talking about engaging youth effectively. Susan Pulaski is a community health supervisor for the Health Department of Northwest Michigan and also the project coordinator for the Safe in Northern Michigan Coalition. Susan has a Master's of Arts in Professional Counseling from Central Michigan University and is also a certified prevention consultant. Susan's been doing substance use prevention for 29 years. She's been part of Safe in Northern Michigan since its establishment in 2007. Nichole Flickema is a community health coordinator for the Health Department of Northwest Michigan. Nichole has been with the Health Department of Northwest Michigan since February of 2013, working in substance use prevention for the past 5 years in both individual and environmental change strategies. Nichole is a certified health education specialist and is also a graduate of CADCA's National Coalition Institute. And Susan's been a long time supporter of the Michigan Coalition to Reduce Underage Drinking. So we really appreciated her support over the years in Northwest Michigan. But without further ado, Susan and Nichole, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are talking today about engaging youth. And as Mike mentioned in his opening statements there, that Safe in Northern Michigan has been in existence since 2007. And we have actually always had youth participating in our coalitions from the very beginning. We've had a very active youth coalition group. And the picture that you see on the screen right now is a great example of the youth and the adults working together. This is a drone picture that we took last year. We were out at Camp Daggett in the fall, which is normally how we start our fall. This year's gonna look a little different with all this virtual meetings going on, but we normally start our falls off at Camp Daggett, which is a very interactive day for our kids. They come from different schools, and so it's a great day for them to get together and meet each other and do projects together. So this was a problem-solving activity they did to make the SAFE logo using their bodies. And then we had one of our adult members who is part of the faith-based sector to he had a drone there, and he videoed or taped it with the drone for us. And the kids were able to look at the drone video and see how it was coming together and continue to shape it the way they wanted to. So again, it takes both the adults and the youth working together to make projects happen. And this is just a good example of one. Nicole, if you can advance. Next, we just have our vision and mission statement. So you're welcome to look those over. And I encourage that all coalitions have developed a vision and mission statement. Next. All right, just to give you a little history about SAFE, as Mike had mentioned earlier, we were established in 2007. And we were first established by our local foundation, our Pulaski Harbor Springs Community Foundation. Their YAC, their Youth Advisory Council, were doing surveys every year. And what kept coming to the top of the survey was substance abuse with youth. And so they decided they wanted to do some community convenings. And from those community convenings that had many local stakeholders involved, they decided that they wanted to develop a coalition. And that's how SAFE came about. SAFE currently covers Antrim, Charlevoix, and Emmett counties. And we have had the DFC support since 2015 is when we started that. And we currently have, I should say this last school year, we had 109 youth from 11 different schools participating. We did have 43 youth graduate out this year. So we'll talk a little bit about that more in the presentation, but obviously that happens every year where we have youth graduate out. But this year, that was our largest number we've ever had graduate out, and we will definitely miss them this fall, but we have been working on recruitment, which we'll talk about later in the presentation. So SAFE is currently celebrating 13 years of coalition involvement in activities. And again, we have had a lot of youth participate, even from the beginning back in 2007. I think we started out with about 30 youth, and we just continue to keep growing and growing the projects with the youth and recruiting them and getting them more involved all the time. So we'll be talking about that today.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about.
Yeah, one more, Nicole, before you hop in. We have funding.
Oh, sorry. What's that?
Okay, right here. This is good. Okay, no. maybe you were ahead of me by one. Hang on just a second. Okay. We were just on different ones. That's okay. So a lot of people ask, like, where do we get funding from? How do we do this? And as I mentioned already, that we do have DFC community funding that we did start receiving in 2015. We have just completed our 5th year. We have applied for years 6 through 10, but that funding we won't know about until December because of COVID. Everything got pushed back this year. And so it was supposed to, we were supposed to have known about it in September to start October 1st, but now we won't know about it until the end of December to start January 1st. So it's going to be a little bit of lag time in between there, which is going to be a little bit of a challenge, but we're working through it. And we really try never to rely just on one source of funding anyway. So we do have DFC funding. We always do get some community foundation support, which that's how we started off, was community foundation support, but we continue to seek that support when we need it. Our youth actually go around and ask local businesses and community members to sponsor them every year as well. And then we always are looking for local grants to support the coalition and any other grants that are out there. We're always seeking grant opportunities so that we have a variety of funding, not just one source of funding. Okay, Nicole, you're up next.
Okay, so if anybody has gone through the CADCA National Coalition Academy or the CADCA training, you're probably familiar with the 12 sectors. I really like this representation of the 12 sectors, and the local problems require local solutions. As a coalition, we do use a lot of data to identify our local problems. So we start, with the MiFi and looking at areas that, underage drinking, marijuana use, youth using vapes. And so from there, we also do focus groups. And so our focus groups we complete every year with a variety of schools from different counties. And so we have a very wide representation of that, and then develop local solutions that meet those problems directly. And with all of those different sectors that we have engaged, we're able to make changes in our community. One of the things that is really at the center of our coalition is youth-led, adult-guided. And Susan and I, we were actually just talking this morning how, especially during this time of COVID, we are going to really rely on the youth to engage with their peers virtually, because they do a lot of YouTube, or they don't do Facebook as much, but Instagram. And those are things Susan and I aren't as familiar with. And so we're looking forward to brainstorming with them on how can we engage the youth in this community through those virtual settings. Okay, so youth retainment or recruitment and retainment. So throughout the years, we've built very strong relationships with our schools. And so the schools that I'm responsible for with the coalition, I'm also doing drug education in. And so I'm a frequent person in that school, as are our other staff members. So we try and line it up so that the person doing drug ed is the person handling the coalition in that community, so that you become part of that community and a familiar face. And we really respect those relationships. And so we try hard to communicate with our school admins, let them know if they need anything, then we're here for them. And if they have a request, then we will definitely look into it. We were exploring getting vape detectors for them and seeking funding for that. And so when they have a problem, we are looking for a solution for them. And so that relationship allows us to actually, we've built that trust over the years. And so we're able to meet with the students during school hours. They actually are able to leave the school and meet at a community location as a group. Obviously with COVID, that's going to look a little differently this year. We are planning a virtual kickoff. And so students who are attending school in person, our hope is that they will be able to leave their classroom during our safe meeting time and go to a quiet place to meet with us virtually. And so We also, to recruit youth, we request student recommendations from school staff. That's a great way to get started. Or if you have a school who doesn't have any youth engaged. And then we meet with the recommended youth. And so we get to know our youth and create a friendly youth environment. And so if the students have a project that they're interested in pursuing, we try really hard to make that possible. You know, if they say, oh, like we want to do, you know, hats as a giveaway this year, then we'll look into hats and find an affordable option, or really just try and follow their lead. So we have permission forms, youth photo release forms, and a meeting schedule and expectations. All of that can be found at safeinnorthernmichigan.com. You're welcome to use any of that language and, you know, plug in your information.
And Nicole, if I can add to that,
Yeah.
this year, as I mentioned earlier, we did have 43 youth graduate out. And normally another way that we recruit is our seniors that are graduating will often be responsible for finding a replacement for themselves. And that usually starts happening like in March or April or May. And then they bring them to a meeting, they kind of mentor them in those end of the year meetings in, you know, April and May. And then the younger person is ready to jump in on the fall and really, you know, feel comfortable with the group. Because of COVID this year, our last meeting was in March. We were lucky and got our last meeting in just in time before it shut down. And so then we went to virtual meetings, but we didn't have that new recruit time. And so we had to do things a little bit different this year with the recruiting, and we still had the seniors recognize somebody they thought would be a really awesome replacement for themselves. And then this year we sent a letter and said, you know, you have been recognized as, you know, potential safe youth member, you know, by this senior, thought you'd be good at it, and hope you'll be interested in filling out the application and sending it in. And we actually received a lot of applications back from kids. I don't know that we have all 43 slots filled at this point, but we have a majority of them filled by doing that letter. So there's lots of variety of ways that you can recruit youth, but that one definitely worked for us this fall, this spring, even during COVID, when we couldn't individually meet with the kids and get started with them that way. Okay, I think we're ready for the next slide. Okay, so engaging in youth, again, as Nicole mentioned, it's really important that you get to know your kids, that you have lots of good communication with them. Kids want to know what they're getting involved in. They are very, very busy. They have a lot going on in their lives, and they want to make sure that what they're participating in is productive and that it's valuable to them. So, you know, we start out with always giving them an orientation packet so that they know what to expect of our group. They know when the meetings are. In the orientation packet, there'll be the logic model, our action plan for the year, and just, you know, basic information that they need. We do a Remind 101, which is a way that we communicate with youth. That information on how to sign up for that Remind 101 is in that orientation packet, so that they know how to get involved with SAFE, and they don't have to, you know, wonder each month what's coming up and what to expect, because we try to make sure that they, you know, when they get introduced to SAFE, that they're getting a whole packet of information about SAFE and what to expect. As Nicole mentioned earlier, we do meet during the school day. Most of our kids are very, very active in lots of different things, you know, whether it be sports or other kind of extracurricular. And so to be able to meet after school or on a weekend just would not be realistic. We do have kids coming from 11 different school systems. And what we do is once a month we meet with kids from Charlevoix and Emmett together. And then once a month we meet with kids from Antrim together, just because the distance is pretty good. And then twice a year we bring all of the kids together for meetings. So again, this year we're going to do it a little bit differently, but that's how we've done it in the past. And we do meet during the school day. And you know, we meet like at noon, we feed them lunch. Food is very important if you've ever worked with youth. They're always hungry. And so we feed them lunch first, and then we go into an icebreaker, and then we go into our afternoon meeting fun. So we are actually going to do an icebreaker today because we believe in icebreakers. Every time the kids meet, we try to have them do an icebreaker. And so even virtual, which is how we're going to start off our fall, you can still do icebreakers. You have to be a little more creative. You're not going to have the hands-on stuff, but you can still do icebreakers. So we thought we would try one virtually with you today, and it's going to be a little scavenger hunt. And Mike, I'm going to ask you to help me figure out who's going to win this scavenger hunt, or how that we're going to know they won. And I think it's because you're going to have your camera on to be able to show the items. So we're going to ask you to go find 3 items, and whoever finds them first and brings them back to, show them first. Maybe you can, like stick them up in your video camera so we can tell that you have them. And we will actually send you a little safe grab bag of prizes and stuff. So the 3 items, if everybody's ready, the 3 items we're going to ask you to find. And remember, the first person to go find those 3 items and bring them back and hold them up in your video camera will be the winner today. So the 3 items are going to be something fuzzy, something that smells nice, and something to write with. So something fuzzy, something that smells nice, and something to write with. If you can go now and find those items, and the first person back will win a safe prize.
Something fuzzy.
Something fuzzy, something to write with, and something that smells nice.
We've got Jordan Ball as our first one. So
Whoa, that was quick.
It's super impressive.
Mike, can we give Jordan video permission? Can you make her a panelist?
Yeah, I think I can, Jordan.
Okay.
Let me
Jordan
find
Ball.
it. All right, Jordan. Let's see here. Promote you to panelist. So I just sent it out to Jordan to make her a panelist. Let's see.
Okay.
All right, Jordan, if you
Can
can
you make
see-
me, this is Barry, can you do it for me? Because she's on her desktop. There's no camera because you don't have me on there. So,
Oh, is she with you?
yeah,
Okay, yep. Barry, you should already be a panelist.
I'm not. There we go.
We see you
Here we
now.
go.
Yep, we can see Barry. Okay, something to write with, great. Something that smells nice, her lotion. And then her warm, fuzzy pullover. Awesome, thank you very much. Great.
Aww.
So maybe if she could put maybe her address in the chat box so that we can send her something, and probably maybe put your office chat or your office address would be good. So we can send you a little prize bag from SAFE. That would be awesome. Thank you. And thank you for participating. So there's an example of, how we're going to have to get creative this fall, maybe do things a little different than we normally would, but we're still going to be able to do icebreakers and still meet with the youth. It'll just look a little different for the next couple of months anyway. But I do encourage you to do icebreakers every time you meet with them because it helps them to, get to know each other a little bit differently. It helps them kind of warm up the room so they were willing to start talking. Again, our youth are not from the same school. So at the beginning of the year, a lot of times they don't know each other at all. Unless they've been in the group for a few years, then they know each other if they're returnees. But if they're brand new, we want them to start interacting right away. And really, I always feel like that's one of the appeals of SAFE is that youth get to meet kids from other schools and they really like doing that. So we really like it, to keep them interacting as much as possible. And then when we start, planning out projects and stuff, they're more comfortable talking to, especially the underclassmen. They're a little more apprehensive about sharing their ideas if they've got a bunch of seniors, in the room as well. But if the more that we can break it up and have them, talking with each other, then the better chances are that when they want to share something, they'll be comfortable doing that. So again, we are meeting during the school day, we're feeding them lunch, we're doing icebreakers with them to get them comfortable, and then we start working on projects that they want to work on. And as Nicole mentioned earlier, we are very data focused. So we have done focus groups, we look at our MyFi data, we decide what the areas of need are. So in our case, it's underage drinking and youth marijuana use. And so those are projects that they're focusing on. We have a number of projects that we've been doing over, the last 13 years, or maybe not that long, but, some of them probably have been that long. And then it's always an opportunity for kids to, brainstorm new ideas or make it a different twist to it as well. The other thing that we do to encourage kids to come is we give them gas cards because they are traveling into our meetings. And so we provide them with a gas card so they can get there. We have one school that will bus their kids over, but that is pretty rare. So we have to be able to get the kids there. And so the kids do individually drive their cars, they carpool together. As part of our permission form, the parents have agreed or sign on there that their child is allowed to ride with another student. And then we provide a gas card to whoever the driver was that month. And we feel like that's really important because, you know, a lot of the kids would not be able to afford to get there if they weren't provided a gas card to reimburse the cost. And the last thing on there is to be flexible. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but it's so true. The kids are involved in so many activities and you have to be flexible with them because, you know, they can't do everything they want to do if you're not willing to work with them. So we always are flexible on, you know, if they can't attend this meeting, maybe they can help at school. And we also offer school meetings. So if they can't get to the full group meetings, we come to the school once a month and, you know, they can participate that way. So there's lots of different ways that they can participate if they can't always be at every single meeting. So we really try to be flexible on what they can do and how much they can participate. So, all right, I think that was all I had on that page. Nicole, if you want to advance us.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Susan, if you have a coalition and haven't used the Remind 101 app, it's really great for communication with a large group. I mean, before we were like emailing, which works okay, but the Remind 101 is awesome because they get it right on their phone. It pops up and we can send messages. You can also send like surveys through it. You can send the agenda through it. It's just a great, great tool. Okay, let's see.
All right, so, whoops.
Sorry, Susan, let's see. I'm like, okay, youth recruitment. We just did that one. Okay, here we are.
Okay, so this one's still mine. So we've never done a presentation. Nicole and I have done many, many, many presentations together, but we've never done one through Zoom, so bear with us. It's definitely a learning experience. We wanted to kind of give you some ideas on how we handled the COVID changes and modifications. We didn't actually miss any meetings at all. We changed over, as I mentioned earlier, we had our last meeting was right at the beginning of March before all the changes happened and the shutdown happened. And so we converted really quickly into doing Zoom meetings, which worked out really well. It was funny to see the kids. Some of them were literally rolling out of bed in the morning. Some of them were still in their PJs, but they all got on and participated. They were very interactive and it was good. We were able to just still do some projects. We had a number of projects that we had planned that had to be canceled because they were in person. We had a 420 event that we could not do. So we'll, try to pick that back up this fall, or maybe it'll end up waiting till next April too, which is fine. But we were able to do a few projects. So one of them was a pizza box education. And one of them was a media campaign. And our media campaign we're going to talk about in a little bit. It was called Be Safe. But the kids were actually able to tape that right before or right at our March meeting. And so it was able to go on as scheduled. And then we tied in the pizza box education, which the stickers that went on the pizza boxes said the Be Safe message on them as well. And all the pizza places, we had to mail them out to them. It wasn't like the kids delivered them like they normally would. We had to mail out the stickers, but all the pizza places were very supportive and willing to participate in doing that pizza box education. And this year the kids wanted to try something a little different with it, and they did an Instagram challenge on it too. So if somebody got the pizza box and they took a picture of it and they tagged our Instagram, then we did a prize we did a drawing out of everybody that participated after a month. So that was kind of cool. We had graduation fans that we were going to give out at graduation ceremonies. We still took them out to the schools. Some of our schools ended up having graduations, some of them didn't. So again, we kept track of who used them this year, and the ones that didn't will be able to use them next year. And they had a message on them as well. Every year we do senior gifts for all the graduating seniors of all the high schools. And this year we did disposable straws and gave out to all the seniors, and they had a safe message on it. They had the Be Safe message on it. And those were able to get out to the seniors. We were able to deliver them to the schools, and a lot of the schools were sending senior packages home with, you know, all kinds of stuff in it. So we were able to get all of that information, all that out to them as well. Our kids were creative with an Instagram challenge. Before COVID, we had an Instagram, but we did not use it very often or really at all. So we did a lot of problem solving on how to best, you know, use our Instagram, and they did a little challenge on things that they were doing at home to stay safe or be safe during the COVID time. And they posted those videos on Instagram, and that was fun. And the other thing that they did is we tied in the whole be safe message with masking up. We were hearing a lot of teens were choosing not to wear masks at the time. And so we thought we could possibly tie in our be safe message with the whole be safe of wearing a mask during COVID. And so we had a few of our kids take pictures of them wearing the masks, and then we sent them home through the schools electronically and to the students so that everybody could see the pictures and hopefully encourage them to start wearing a mask if they weren't already. So those were some of our COVID ideas that we brainstormed during that time.
Susan, another thing we did that I just thought about that's not listed is we put that lock up your marijuana and alcohol in the take home meals for schools.
Right, yeah. So we had some messaging that actually was print message that we put in all the school lunches. And we were concerned a lot about a lot of kids being home and maybe being unsupervised. So we wanted to get that whole lockup message out there again. And so we did send it home in the school lunch packet. So thanks for remembering that, Nicole. That
yeah. Good. All right, let's see. Okay, so here's some other best practices for engaging youth that we use. So provide training opportunities. So we actually did have CADCA attend one of our meetings and work with our youth. They were one of the youth trainers, and they came and met with us, and the kids were able to practice public speaking, learn about like cultural competency, and really get a grasp on the importance of data and planning for coalitions. Public speaking, they did focus on that with the when CADCA came, and they did a really cool, really awesome thing for training students on that. I'm trying to remember what they did. So they gave, it's a great idea to do with kids. So like they gave someone a topic, like let's say you were trying to talk to a like a representative legislator about youth vaping, and they gave you a topic like, okay, so why do elephants have long tusks or something like that? And then you had to turn it around into explaining about vapes. I'm doing a poor explanation of that. Susan, can you expand on that at all?
Well, just that the youth had a chance to, and it was kind of like on the spot thinking. It was preparing them, because really when they're meeting with legislators, they're going to ask questions, and they're going to have to really think on the spot of like, what they want to say and be prepared. And so this little activity really helped them to, think about all the reasons what they would say if they were asked these questions at random. And I thought that activity really, it was very youth friendly, and it helped youth to, know that they always had to have 3 or 4 talking points, and no matter what the question was that was asked, they needed to come back to those 3 or 4 talking points consistently. So even if they asked some off the wall, or if they were asked some off the wall question, they still had to somehow tie back in their 3 or 4 talking points that they were there to discuss. And the other thing is that when you're working with legislators, you have a very limited time with them. So you want to make sure that, whatever message you're trying to convey to them, you're getting it in and getting it very, it's concrete. They know what you're there to talk about.
I'm going to jump back to the elevator speech at the end and first talk about the other topics on the slide. So we also do an interest survey at the beginning of the year, and if people are interested in seeing that, we'd be happy to share it. It just kind of gauges what our members' interests are in different projects. So there's like woodworking and building, like, are you interested in helping us with that if we need that for signage? or like media communications, like technical assistance. And so like, you know, helping us with setting up presentations, helping us with getting our microphone set up. And so just really trying, or like graphic design. So helping us to design our media communications. And so like honing in on their skills and interest is definitely something that we try to do so that we can, you know, they can not only be proud of what they're doing, but also it's very helpful to us because we, you know, they know how to communicate with their peers. So give youth a voice. So we have taken our youth to Lansing to meet with legislators, and we actually took a very large bus down there. I'm not sure if we would do that again or if we would travel in like a smaller bus, but it was really great. They got to go inside the Capitol, listen to some of the legislative process, meet with different representatives from our area, and discuss, this was prior to Tobacco 21, so discuss the importance of Tobacco 21 and how that would impact their schools and their friends. Also, so Washington, DC, the CADCA forum. So we also take kids out to Washington, DC every winter. I'm not sure if that'll happen this winter or not, but CADCA hosts a forum out there where youth are invited. And there's one day that they spend going into the city and meeting with their representatives. So local township meetings, if there's something that is impacting our local community, then we have them meet with their local local townships. So whether it's recently like Community Boyne City passed you know, tobacco-free parks and beaches, or whether it's having to do with recreational marijuana, medical marijuana in the community, then the youth do attend and speak about how it impacts youth. And project development. So like Susan and I talked about before, we really want these projects to stem from the youth. And that way they have ownership over it and are proud of it and want to share it with their peers versus us like, you know, coming up with an idea and passing it down to them.
Okay, so going back to the elevator speech.
Oh yeah, sorry, Susan.
So we, one of the things we think is important is when our youth are at different projects and doing programming, that they can understand like what to say to somebody. If somebody comes up and asks them, you know, what is safe in Northern Michigan? It actually happens a lot, I'm sure, in your coalitions, it happens to you a lot as well. And so we want them to be able to, you know, confidently tell somebody what safe in Northern Michigan is or what we're working on. And so one of the activities that we have learned through our CADCA trainings is called a 30-second elevator speech. And if you have never designed a 30-second elevator speech for your coalition, we're going to help you do that today. So we're going to do a quick little activity. We're just going to take a couple of minutes, and we're going to ask you to think about what are the issues that are most important to you related to your coalition, and what do you want to change with your coalition. And then I want you to just spend, and it doesn't need to be really long, but just, you know, a couple sentences about, you know, what you would say about your coalition. So a quick example is Safe in Northern Michigan is a substance use prevention coalition that covers Antrim, Charlevoix, and Emmett counties. We have adults and youth that work on projects to reduce underage drinking and youth marijuana use. One of our goals is to change attitudes towards youth use. That's really simple. And the other thing you can add is data. If you have it, you might want to put in there, you know, our underage drinking rates are this, or our youth marijuana use is, you know, this percentages. But that's just a quick example of a 30-second speech. When we spend a meeting doing this, we want the kids to put it in their own words. So it's something that's going to stick in their head. So it's not like one that we create for, you know, the whole coalition to say. You really should create your own so you're comfortable repeating it. when somebody asked you. And then we have them practice it, because when they're out in the public and, community members or other parents are asking them, what is SAFE, they're comfortable, giving a couple of lines to explain what SAFE is or what their reason for working with SAFE is. So we really want them to create that 30-second elevator speech themselves. And so we're going to ask you to do that today too. We're going to give you maybe the next 2 minutes, and then we'll ask a few of you to share what your elevator speech is. So again, what are some of the issues that are important to your coalition? And then, what do you want to change? What are you hoping, what is your goal is? And then kind of put it into a nice little summary that, would be no less than 30 or no more than 30 seconds, because we don't want it to go longer than that. So we're starting now. We'll give you 2 minutes.
All right, Susan, I've got 2 minutes on my phone.
Great, thanks.
Hey, Susan and Nicole, while folks are working on that, there were a couple questions in the chat that we can address really quickly.
Okay.
Caitlin Clark asked a question about the pizza boxes. She wanted to know if you put the stickers directly on the pizza boxes or if you stapled them so the stickers could still be used.
When we mailed the stickers directly to the pizza places, and they stuck them directly on the boxes. So yeah, they are put directly on the boxes. They're not reused.
Okay.
They're
And
the
then the
entire
other,
sticker.
okay. The other question was if you'd be willing to send a copy of the interest survey that you mentioned.
Yes, we can do that. Yeah, that is not available on our website, but we can certainly share that.
Okay.
I can probably send that in the chat right now.
That would be perfect. Thank you.
I'm going to stop my screen share and then drop it in.
Kind of a question / comment from Susan Papel. So do you do this elevator speech for the coalition and not just the youth group?
You actually can do it for both. Recently, I was on a CADCA training and they suggested actually doing it with the adults as well. They talked about doing one where you would use sticky notes and have the coalition kind of come up with one that they would consistently use. But I think with the youth, it's better to have them put it in their own words. But with the adults, they suggested that everybody kind of like write down some words and then you can connect it together. It was this whole activity. So I think you can do it, definitely can do it with both adults and youth. I just think with the youth, it's more important for them to really put it into their words so it's easier for them to explain when somebody asks.
Okay, Susan, we are at 2 minutes. I'll add 1 minute to the timer. Are you okay with that?
Sure.
Okay, chat. All right, I'm going to drop this in the chat. Maybe.
Any brave souls out there willing to share their elevator speech, just let me know and I'll do my best to unmute you.
Okay. I'm having a hard time attaching it to the chat.
Nicole, how about you email it to Mike and then he can share it with our participants? Mike, would that be okay with you?
Sure.
Okay, we are at 3 minutes.
All right, we got Caitlin Clark willing to give it a try. Thank you, Caitlin. Let me find you and see if we can make you a presenter too. Can you talk now, Caitlin?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. I am not sure how this is going to go, but it's a little blurb that I actually had written up previously, so we'll see. I am from the Livingston Community Prevention Project, and we are a collaborative of 3 agencies, including Karen Bergbauer and Associates, Key Development Center, and Livingston County Catholic Charities. The LCPP was formed in 2008 to provide substance abuse prevention services and programs throughout Livingston County, Michigan. These programs focus on reducing substance use throughout the community. This includes programs and initiatives. Sorry, it went away. Programs and initiatives that target teens, parents, and the broader community to achieve the following goals. Delay the age of first use of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. Increase the proportion of youth who perceive parental disapproval of alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs. Decrease the proportion of youth and adults who report past month use. And decrease prescription and over-the-counter drug abuse. We work together to implement several prevention programs that have been proven to impact substance use and related problems.
Okay, thank you for sharing. I might just suggest just trimming it down a little bit because it's kind of long. And I don't know if you've ever been like, let's say at a booth or something and a parent comes up to you, they may not even have that long to talk to you. So if you could just pare it down a little bit, maybe take out a few lines, but I think you're on the right track for sure.
Awesome, thank you.
I'd like to
I think
join
that,
or-
oh, I was just gonna add, I think that sounded really good. And it's definitely a nice way to describe, like, even if, that was something that you spent going over with your youth, they might not remember the entire thing, but definitely some good key points in there.
Okay. And do you think that it's relevant to explain like who is in the coalition during this part of it, or is this more geared towards just giving like a quick blurb about what the coalition does?
I think it's better to have just a quick blurb about what the coalition does. I think if somebody wanted more information, they would ask.
Okay.
But I think it's more about kind of getting your goal out there of what you hope to achieve.
Okay. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Even, like a administrator or something like that, like if a student, if like a principal walked up to a kid and said, so what's SAFE all about?
Got one more if we got time. We got Mike, who would like to give his elevator speech a try.
Okay, great, thanks.
Hi, everyone. Mine is very quick and to the point. It's just, hi, I'm Mike Matern with Up North Prevention, servicing 14 counties of northern Michigan. And our goal is to prevent substance use. And each year we provide activities and events to help do that. And we focus on specific areas determined by interacting with the community to see what their needs are. And we've built a network of social service agencies to support all of these activities.
I think that sounds good. I think you're really right on the right track, Mike. It sounds good.
Thanks a lot, Susan.
Mm-hmm.
You want to do one more, Susan? We got Barry.
Sure. Yeah, we have time.
All right.
All right, this is Barry Schmidt. Ours is to ensure a Bay County that has a healthy and drug-free community through 4 main initiatives: underage drinking prevention, tobacco and vaping prevention, marijuana awareness, as well as the elimination of opioid overdoses.
Okay, good. I mean, it's very clear and, set your goals. Again, the other thing you can add if you want to is if you have the data to show, like what your rates are, that's something you could add in there too. I don't think you want to, like if you have 4 different topics, it's probably a lot to put all 4 in there because they're probably not going to remember them. But like if you were at an event where you were just focusing on underage drinking that night, maybe you would give that rate. Did you know that our underage drinking rate is whatever? But I think if you can use the data, I think it's always good to reinforce about what the need is and why you need to do it. But that sounded really good.
One more, Sandra.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Mine is, we are a youth-led prevention education program, and we consist of a group of energetic and motivated youth who are working together to inspire, lead, educate, create, and grow.
Okay.
That's basically it. Does it need more about, we do that, we can go to the Capitol, we can do events? Should that be part of it?
Say that one more time, you kind of broke up.
Should it be something where we add, like, we do go to the Capitol, we do change policy, we do have events? You want to add that in there?
Yeah, I think you can always, you can customize it every time you're at a different event, but you might want to give some examples of that stuff too, of what you're doing.
And one thing that I always kind of struggle with is, what you just described kind of reminded me of a mission statement. And so like, how do you tie in the mission statement with the elevator speech? And so I think it sounded really good, but I think it's hard to tie those things together.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you guys all for participating in that. Again, we do encourage you to do it with your adults as well as your youth, so that, when they're in those community presentations or they're having to explain what their purpose is, that they can, be prepared. Especially with youth, they do not like being uncomfortable or being put on the spot where they don't feel like they can, say something confidently. And so if you've prepared them and trained them, then they feel better about doing it. And they're a great voice. You just need to make sure that you give them enough education so they can be a good voice. So that really helps them. So thank you for participating in that as well. Okay, we'll do and move on to the next one.
Okay, so responding to the data, I know we've referenced this a few times. We've talked about the MiFi and how important that is. I'm sure everybody's, struggling. This 2019, 2020 was a MiFi year. And with schools closing down mid-March, not every school was able to complete the MiFi. Susan and I have heard that they will open it up for a time period this fall, but it will not be combined with last year's data. And so, that presents some unique challenges, especially for us. We had a lot smaller, we did get data for our 3 counties. The sample size was significantly smaller than it was in the past. And so the data is not as rich as it was in the past, but we're going to work with it. Another thing that we do to assess our community, especially with the youth, is the community assessment drawings. And so you can see in this picture that's highlighted on the screen, they have like a little, what these 4 students are doing is they're drawing their community. And so maybe there's like a river or a lake in your town or a popular beach. There's Main Street, there's the school. And so they're highlighting, and then once they like physically draw out their community, then they're highlighting like, where does this substance use happen? Like, where are students drinking? Are they drinking in homes? Are they drinking like at bonfires? Are they going to the beaches? Or where are they using marijuana? Is there like a local hotspot? And so really just identifying what's going on in that community. And it's a nice way for the youth to participate in the assessment and have complete control over the assessment, but also it's very like engaging and fun because they're physically drawing out their community. Youth focus groups. And so we can send a copy of sample questions to you that we use. We do those with each individual school. So is 10 to 11 surveys or focus groups completed. This year, because we're not able to go into the schools, we did do virtual focus groups towards the end of the year, and we provided an incentive of gas cards to students who were able to participate in that. And I think the incentives are really important because, their time is valuable and we want them to know that we do value their time. And then other data sources. So, whether that's your court information, or if you're focusing on overdoses in your community, then, emergency room admission information. And so there's just other sources of data that can be used in a community to describe what's going on and what the problem is. Compliance check data, whether your stores are selling or not selling. So whether that's alcohol compliance checks, tobacco compliance checks, just utilizing a wide variety of data to get a really good overview of the community. All right, so Susan, I think we're back to you.
All right, next we're going to start talking a little bit about, we decided to go through, we follow the 7 strategies for behavioral change model. And so we decided to try to pull and just give you a couple of examples of how our youth engage in those, to complete those 7 different areas. So the first one is providing information. And so our media campaign falls under providing information. And our youth actually write the script on that, and they do the acting themselves. We videotape it, and then that's what goes out, and we have it on television, radio. We do digital ads with it. We do billboards, and we have theater ads. And we do that twice a year. As we talked, the spring campaign, we did the whole Be Safe idea. We're going to actually take you to our website now so that you can see where to locate our videos, because they're all on there. Nicole, do you want me to try to share my screen, or you've got it? Okay. Go ahead and bring it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch out for a minute. I stopped sharing my screen for a moment, but I am going to pull up the website.
And again, everything that's on our website, you are welcome to go in and look at and use. If you want to, borrow some ideas from it and recreate it and put your logo on it, you're welcome to do that. We're always more than willing to share anything that we've worked on.
Okay.
And as I mentioned earlier, we were really fortunate to be able to get this taping done right before COVID hit. And so we, got it taped just like a week before or 2 weeks before school got out. And then, they worked on doing the editing and whatnot. And actually when it showed on television, we actually put a little note in there about this was taped prior to COVID, just so people didn't think that we were getting youth together during COVID time. And then this fall, we've also done a media campaign, but because of COVID and we weren't able to tape again, we actually went back and reused one of the ones that we had made like in 2017 about locking up your alcohol. We didn't show it on television because a lot of the youth that were participating in that one have graduated out, but we did put it on radio. And we also did digital ads with it. And it was all about locking up your alcohol. The easiest place to get alcohol is at home in the refrigerator. So we did that campaign for August and September of this year. Again, we've had to make changes with COVID, just as I'm sure most of you have too. And it's been working.
And Susan, I just pulled up the website.
Okay.
So are you able to see it?
Yes.
Okay, so as we launch into this, I just wanted to say, I know all of us probably get notifications for like mini grants and things like that. I think if you don't currently have like a really up-to-date website or want to do more things with it, I think that would be a good opportunity if you see a mini grant that matches that, because especially with things going virtual and COVID, your website is going to be where a lot of people are going and being directed. And so having a strong website, I think if you have the opportunity is very valuable.
Okay, Nicole, if you'll go under the education and awareness, it takes you down to the videos. And we're just going to show you one of them. You're welcome to go in and watch all of them whenever you want to. We'll show you the Be Safe ones that we made in the springtime. And we'll watch that quickly now, just because of time, we can't watch them all.
Role model. Hockey. Reading. Skiing. Snowboarding. Singing. My team. Quiz bowl. Basketball. Family. Neurology. Tennis. Soccer. Cheerleading for myself. We choose to be safe.
Brought to you by Safe in Northern Michigan, creating an environment free of substance abuse. SafeInNM.com.
Okay, thank you. I think when I was just watching that, it seemed a little delayed or something, and I don't know if that's because of the Zoom, but when you actually go on the website and see it yourself, you shouldn't see that delayed kind of look going on. It seemed a little slow to me. And
Oh, sorry, Susan.
Pardon me?
I keep playing it and I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Do you want me to play this one?
No, you don't need to play it.
Okay.
I was just going to show one because we don't have that much time left.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow.
We've
Yeah.
only got like 6 minutes left, so we need to kind of move through. But again, you know, our website's available. There's all kinds of good information on it. A lot of the, or all the PSAs the kids have ever done are on there. You can find other information as well. And again, feel free to use it and share it any way that you can. Going back to our presentation though, so that's it. That's providing information. The media campaign falls under that. The next strategy is enhancing skills. And we really try to have our youth participate. If we're doing curriculum in the schools, we try to get our youth into the schools as well. They don't necessarily go in and do all the curriculum with us, but at least for a lesson. And usually it's a lesson with peer education and, you know, resistance skills is the one that we like to take them into. So, you know, we have the youth practice at our meetings so that they're not just going in blind, that they know what they're doing when they get in there and they're comfortable. And if you've ever done curriculum in the middle schools, having youth with us is like the best. Like they really do most of the presentation and the kids love them and they get so much out of it. They just relate. That whole peer education is awesome. It works really well. So that's the engaging youth part of it. And, I'm sorry, that's enhancing skills. So the next part is the providing support. And an example of this is we offer something we call Safe After Hours. And they are activities, and the one that you're seeing on the screen here is happening at our local college, North Central Michigan College. We usually do it every November. We've got it on the books this year. We're wondering if it will happen or not. We're gonna have to wait till it gets a little closer to decide. But we have a night where we have all kinds of activities for the youth to come in, and just a drug-free event. We have middle school time after school from 4 to 7, and then we have high school time from 7:30 to 10:30 or 11. And the kids get to come in and just have fun and do all kinds of fun activities. There's gym floors with, you know, laser tag and 9 square in the air and octoball. We have karaoke, and we just do all kinds of fun activities with them. And our youth are there and participating, or with the middle schoolers, they're being mentors, and it's just it's a fun time. The other thing that we do that falls under providing support is we do movie events at our local theaters where, you know, they get into the movie. It's just a safe movie, so no one else is in the theater at the time, and they get popcorn and a pop and get to watch the movie for $5. And we've been working with our local theaters to be able to offer that. So that's another example of providing support. And then Nicole's gonna go through the next couple with us.
Okay, so access and barriers. And so this is either increasing access or decreasing access through barriers, depending on how you want to look at it. And so one of the things that we really want to help parents with is preventing them with alcohol, nicotine, and drug test kits. And so we give them out at parent-teacher conferences. We also give a supply to the schools so that if they know a parent or the school counselors that's in need of this, then they have access to that. Incentives and disincentives. So you'll see these students on the screen. So these are their safe youth pictures that we take at the beginning of the year. With each year, they get a new t-shirt that has a fun color on it. Maybe this year they'll have to take selfies. I don't know how that's gonna work. But we feature them on our Facebook page, and probably we'll move into featuring them on Instagram as well. And parents and schools, they just love this because, you know, they get to share their student, and the students write a little bit like a description of why they're safe, and they get to be featured for that week on our Facebook page, and then it's shareable so their parents can share it or the school. And then physical design. And so physical design is really meant to change the physical environment. An example of that would be like signage, or, you know, creating lighting in an area that, like at a hot spot or something like that. One of the physical designs that we do is the Pizza Project and Sticker Shock. And so this hashtag Be Safe is an example of what the stickers looked like for our pizza project. It actually did not have a gray background. It looks like it did on here, but it was a white background. And then the one that says, hey, it's illegal to purchase alcohol for a minor, that's our Sticker Shock sticker. And that's what the youth go into the stores, gas stations, and put on the bottles, like a 6-pack of beer or a 12-pack or seltzers, things like that. All right, and then Susan, do you want to?
Yeah, so policy work is another thing. We've talked about this a little bit already this hour, and I know we're really over on time here, but we like to have our youth meet with local legislators, meet with state representatives. As Nicole mentioned earlier, we've taken them down to Lansing. We've been out to Washington, D.C. with them. We actually have them come to our meetings sometime. Tristan Cole, Lee Chatfield, those are our state representatives that both came into our meetings this last year. And it works out really well that our kids can sit down and talk with them and have conversation with them about concerns they have. This year we talked a lot about vaping, and I think that when the legislators hear stories, that's what really has an impact on them. They can hear about the statistics and we can send them information in the mail about the statistics, but if they actually hear the stories from the youth about things that are happening in their school, that has really huge impact on them. And I think they're more interested in, looking into the topic then and supporting it. So we have done a number of those, meetings. And you have to train your youth. You can't just set up the meeting and expect them to know what to say. You've got to talk to them about, okay, now these are your concern areas. So let's talk about like how you would express that and how you would say that to them, what kind of questions you would ask her. So we spend quite a bit of time working with them so they're ready and prepared and they're confident to do it. Okay, next one. Okay, so this one's capturing your story. It's really important that you're always taking pictures, that you are always, everything you're working on, that you're somehow keeping track of it. And so here's a number of pictures that you can see throughout the year that we have, captured, and they've either been put on Facebook or they're part of our media project. So you've got to, when you're doing different projects with youth, make sure that you're capturing it, you're getting it out to the newspaper, you're getting it on your Facebook page. However you're going to, get that information out there, you want to make sure that everything you're doing is being shared and that you're getting credit for it. So make sure you're taking those pictures. And sharing your work. So one of the things that we did this past year, which we had never done before, was we started a newsletter. And it's an electronic newsletter, and we send it out to, I don't know how many hundreds of people at this point. And we do it quarterly. So after each quarter, we kind of do a little summary of, what we've had going on in SAFE. We introduce a Safe Youth member, we introduce an adult youth member, and our newsletter goes out to many, many people. And it's another way for us to easily share what's going on with SAFE, and it doesn't cost us any money at all. So that's an easy way to share your work. We also do an annual report every year, but we have those printed and they cost a little bit more. So, I encourage you to do an annual report too, but the newsletters are really easy. Another one is to recognize our youth. Again, I mentioned earlier that we had so many youth graduate out. These are our 43 seniors that graduate out. Whenever you can recognize your youth for all the awesome things they do, please do that. We did, this graphic with all the seniors in it. We also did individual graphics this year. That was another thing that we did for COVID, was we really spent a lot of time recognizing our seniors that we felt were kind of getting gypped anyway because they weren't having graduations and they weren't having all-night senior party. They were just not getting the normal senior experience. And so we did individuals of each one of our seniors, like what they were doing after they graduated. And we posted their senior picture along with a fun kind of snapshot picture on our Facebook page. And we got a lot of good positive comments about that. And we, again, had never done it. It was an idea the kids came up with during the COVID time. And so we will definitely use that again in the future. But whenever you can recognize your youth and all the great work they're doing, we encourage you to do that. All right, we're finally down to questions. I know we're a little bit over, but do we have a couple minutes, Mike, to maybe answer a few questions?
I think that we do. There's a couple of questions in there, but some comments. Focus group questions would be great to have. Barb said, how long do you meet each month?
We usually we start at noon and we get done a little bit before 3 o'clock. So most of our kids can be back to their schools by 3 o'clock. So somewhere around 2:30, 2:45, we try to release them from the meeting so they can get back to all their extracurricular activities after school. So usually about 2.5 to 3 hours each month. Besides, we also do school meetings, and those are shorter. They're usually only about an hour where we go into the schools, but we do those as well.
Some nice comments. That was awesome. That was a great video. Excellent information. I would love the questions for your youth survey that you use in your focus groups, Mary Jo says.
Okay, we can do that. Thank you.
I can email those to you. Mike, I did send that interest survey to you, but I will also email the focus group questions your way.
Great. Excellent presentation, ladies. Anybody got any final questions? I'm sure if you come up with questions later, they would be available. But I appreciate the work you guys do up there in Northern Michigan. You guys always do such a great job. So I have a lot of respect for the work that you do. And they are really the experts in youth, engaging youth. So for those of you that have youth groups or are thinking about starting them, again, I'm fairly certain Susan and Nicole would be helpful in that regard. So, but
Thank you.
There's one more question that just came in from Ben Ryan. He's asking, how did you get buy-in from the schools for your school meetings and allowing students to participate in the program?
Nicole, do you want to talk about that? I know you kind of already
Yeah,
about it
we
anyway.
can talk about that. So, you know, I would say it just takes a lot of time. Like I said, we try really hard to have the person who's doing drug education in that school to also be the person that's running the coalition, the same person who's helping them adopt their naloxone policy, all of that sort of thing. And so like becoming a familiar place in that school and not breaking the trust, I would say is really how we've done that, and setting up a good reputation for our coalition. And we're very protective over that, I would say. You know, we take it very seriously. We want ourselves not only to be very professional, but our youth to be very professional. And we don't ever want to rock the boat in those relationships. And so starting it is just really by respecting the relationship and fostering it. I don't know how else to explain it. What do you think, Susan?
Yeah, I think that's good. The other thing we do, and I don't think I mentioned it earlier, is that we have an orientation or kind of welcome packet for them at the beginning of the year too. So each school, you know, gets a letter talking about what projects we will be working on. It talks about the schedule that the kids will be missing school during this time so that the schools have advanced knowledge. Some of our schools, even we do reminders the week of and say, you know, don't forget the kids are getting out of school at this time. So we do have a kind of a contact person for each school. So we are, you know, sending them information and keeping them involved. And so we could never do this work without the support of the schools. So it is really important that you have that relationship, that you build that relationship, that you continue to, you know, support that relationship by good communication and making sure that they know what the kids are going to be involved in. And they have always been supportive of us. We really have never had any problems. That, you know, they understand the kids are missing school time, but they're doing it for a good reason. And so they're really cooperative with us, and we, you know, try to work with them as much as possible. When they have needs, we are try to be there for them to meet those needs as well.
And maybe it's not, you know, the superintendent or the principal of the school, but maybe it's starting with the school nurse and showing them like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, and getting the school nurse on board who can then talk to the principal, who can then talk to the superintendent. And so kind of like building up that relationship from the bottom forward, I think also really helps. And then, you know, at some of our schools, the contact is a teacher who's just really vested in substance use prevention. It might be the counselor there, it might be the school nurse, or it might be the principal. It really just, or actually one of our schools is even the athletic director. And so it really just is dependent on the school and finding that person who you can build that relationship with.
Well, thank you again. A great presentation. Again, we'll get this posted to our website with the slides. We are on break until about 2:10 p.m. We'll come back with Pat Hyman and William Marshall talking about the connection between alcohol and health disparities. So thanks, and we'll see you guys in a few hours.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yep, bye-bye.